Hey everybody, long time no see. It's me, Hazel Kate Quinn, you know, back from the dead. Literally, sometime back in 2019, I really went into serious Amber Heard burnout. She's just so dark. Her energy is mud. It's just negativity and dark mud. I just got to a place where I couldn't even go on Twitter anymore and see her name and see her face, even though we were all talking about, Johnny and just supporting Johnny. And the whole idea was to keep supporting Johnny, keep speaking out. He needs all the support he can get. And there I was, but at some point she just freaking, I had to take mental health space to deal with some issues that she was bringing up in me. I mean, serious. I mean, I've been abused, myself. I was abused several times in many ways, throughout life, you know. But some of the stuff she was saying and some of the, everything that I was hearing Johnny say and everything that I felt in my gut to be his truth, I mean, it's just the fact that somebody could gaslight so effectively. I was in a relationship for 4 years with a guy who gaslighted me so much. I mean, I literally thought that everybody in my life thought I was crazy, that everybody in my life hated me, and that he was the only one that understood anything about me, you know. And I've said this before in many other videos. Some of you, may have watched my videos and you've heard me talking about how Johnny, when I would see him in pictures with Amber, he looked like I felt when I was with that guy. He looked exactly like I felt. Actually, he looked like I looked. His body, I mean, just, he was so tired and so, you know, miserable and just not comfortable, not wanting to be there. It just, it just, I watched myself change when I was in that relationship and, and seeing everything. It was totally just throwing me into right back into that relationship. But then, anyway, the UK trial happened. That judge didn't hear a word Johnny said, actually put the statement in his verdict, or, I didn't even read the whole thing through. I didn't read his entire verdict through Judge Nicol in the UK. But one sentence stands out in my mind. I mean, I don't know if I'm even getting it all right, but it's something to the effect of it doesn't matter whether Ms. Heard assaulted Mr. Depp. It doesn't matter. That was the message. That was pretty much the statement, I mean, it may have been different words. It's of no relevance, or however you say it in legalese, but it is of little or no consequence, or little of no relevance whether Ms. Heard assaulted Mr. Depp. What? You know? And just seeing that happen, seeing, I mean, I was so happy to get Trump out of the White House, but I couldn't even celebrate that because that very day when, you know, when Trump was no longer going to be president, um, Johnny lost Grindelwald. That just gutted me. That was just it. That was, and I just couldn't watch. I couldn't look. I knew, and I thought of Johnny all the time. I kept thinking of Johnny, like praying, please, please, please. But watching this, watching and hearing Johnny, seeing him on the stand, telling his truth, feeling it with him. And then I literally, I was going to do that. I was going to watch him. I was going to watch his witnesses, and I wasn't going to watch anything from her witnesses whatsoever. you know. But then something told me, you know what? Watch it. Just watch it. You know, see what happens. And I'm telling you, let me just show you something, okay? Let me just show you something. I'm going to share the screen here. You know, I there's so much I have to say, and so much you guys have been saying, and what we've all been saying, you know. But honestly, if someone's shaking and sobbing like this, don't tell me there's not going to be any tears. I mean, just come on, you know. Where's the tears? I hope you can hear this, okay? I just, you know, shared the sound. I think, yeah. Oh,
Interaction brief. He was leaving to go work.
wait, this is one.
I don't know. I don't know how we get up. I don't know if he pulls me up. I wish I could tell you, but we were in this struggle down in this games room by the bar, and we had this conversation about the drinking, or argument about the drinking, and he holds up this bottle to me, and you know, I'm saying, did you drink this whole thing? Something stupid, focusing on this detail, and he is telling me that I can't control him anymore, and if I really, you know, if I really wanted to try, take it. And then he's like taunting me to take the bottle from him. If I really want.
Okay, that part of things, you know. You know that, but I've got to get to this because this is telling. This is very telling. You know, this part here.
At one point, I'm up against the wall, and he's screaming at me that he fucking hates me, that I ruined his life.
This is how he cuts his finger off, right? Here
Remember, I ruined his life over and over. And he starts punching the wall next to my head, holding me by the neck. I get free from him. I kind of step back from him, and it's like his energy shifted to the phone. There's a wall-mounted phone on the wall next to where my head was, and he went from punching the wall to like realizing there was a phone there, and he picked up the phone and he's screaming. He's rah! At the top of his lungs, screaming, I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you. You ruined my fucking life. And screaming at the top of his lungs, he picks up the phone and starts bashing the phone against the wall where I was.
I hate you, so I'm not going to bash a phone against the wall.
And I remember kind of having some distance on what was happening and watching him do this. And it was like his energy had shifted, and I was that phone all of a sudden. And he was just over and over again smashing this phone into the wall over and over again, screaming at me. And I was watching the phone every single time he pulled his hand back. It was just breaking into pieces. I remember thinking this phone is disappearing. He's smashing it to smithereens, just going into the wall.
Smithereens.
And at some point, he's on top of me.
How'd he go from that?
No phone, but screaming the same thing. I fucking hate you.
He's on top of her screaming.
My fucking life. I'm on the countertop. He had me by the neck, and he felt like he was on top of me. And I'm looking at him in his eyes, and I don't see him anymore. I don't see him anymore.
I don't see you.
It wasn't him. It was black. I've never been so scared in my life. It was black. I couldn't see him. And he was looking at me, and I was trying to get through to him. I was trying to say to him in some way that it was me. I was trying to get through to Johnny, and I couldn't see him. I couldn't see him at all. And my head was bashing against the back of the bar, and I couldn't breathe. And I remember trying to get up, and I was slipping on the glass. My feet were slipping, my arms were slipping on the countertops. And I remember just trying to get up so I could breathe, so I could tell him that he was really hurting me. I didn't think he knew what he was doing.
What? You didn't...
I don't know how.
By the way, you're really hurting me. I'm all smashed up, and you're really hurting me.
Sorry.
Okay, here we go.
I'm sorry.
Go for the Oscar.
I couldn't breathe. Please. I don't know. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't.
With the menthol.
I couldn't breathe. I
menthol.
couldn't get through to him. I couldn't get up. I couldn't get up.
I couldn't get up.
And I don't know how
Get
that
up.
ended. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know what happened next. I don't understand. The next thing I remember, I was bent over backwards on the bar, meaning my chest was up. I was staring at the blue lights, and my chest was on this. My back was on the countertop, and I thought he was punching me.
Just a second. Let's stop a minute. Where's the tears? I mean, she's shaking and sobbing. Where's the tears? If you're really crying like that, shaking and sobbing with no tears, I mean, they'd be flying all over the place. There'd be snot coming out of your nose.
He was. I'm sorry.
Here we go.
He was.
Close up on her.
I felt this pressure. He owned my pubic bone, and he thought he was punching me. I just saw his arm. I could feel his arm moving, and it looked like he was punching me. But I could just feel this pressure. It was like it kept hitting me. It didn't feel pain. It was just a pressure on my pubic bone, and I don't know.
It's hard for him to hear. It's hard for me to hear. But fuck.
I
Excuse me,
don't
what?
remember what I said. I just remember being really still, not wanting to move. I remember looking around the room. I remember looking at all the broken bottles, broken glass. And I remember just not wanting to move because I didn't know if it was broken. I didn't know if the bottle that he had inside me was broken. I couldn't feel it. I didn't feel pain.
Feel it.
I didn't feel pain. I didn't feel anything. I just
Obviously
didn't want it. I looked around and I saw so much broken glass that I didn't know if he would know. I didn't know if he would know if it was broken or not, and I just remember thinking, please God, please, I hope it's not broken. I don't know how that ended. I don't know how I got off the countertop. I just remember it being in the bathroom. I remember retching. I remember.
Okay, enough of that. Enough of that for now. That shit, I'm sorry to if that triggered some of you guys. It's not like I'm watching this like it's fun, you know? I mean, what's comical is the fact that she's shaking, sobbing, and you can see her face twisted, the way people are, But if you're really shaking and like really crying and shaking and sobbing like that, tell me your face is going to be dry like that? Your face is not going to have a fucking tear on it? I mean, there's no fucking tears in her eyes. There's nothing. I mean, if you're shaking and sobbing like that, there's going to be tears flying all over the fucking place. There's going to be dripping from your chin. There's going to be snot coming out of your nose. She's got that stupid Kleenex with the menthol on it. They were talking about that. She brings that thing with her from the stand. It's not that, they have tissues provided for them. She didn't take from that box. She had that thing with her. And they were saying on the news, she was sniffing it. And then she's sniffing, like menthol or something, or cocaine or something. So obviously she had something, to make her sniff, you know, you know. So it looks like there's liquid, but where's the fucking tears? I mean, you can't sob and shake like that and be on close up and not have any goddamn tears. The woman didn't rehearse well, and she's not a good enough actress. Honestly, she's she's an okay enough actress, you know, to if I didn't see her up close, I might have thought she was actually crying, you know? But to see her up close like that, a close up, this is on TV. The UK trial, I don't think was televised. We just heard all the stuff that she said. We saw newspaper articles, quoting her stage, talking about him throwing bottles like grenades at her. All this horrific stuff. And she probably got up on there and did the same act and must have totally, like, just, you know, I guess that's pretty much all Judge Nickel needed to be like, oh my God, But this, televised with a close up? Fuck that! The woman has totally made a mockery of abuse. Getting up there, saying all that stuff, talking about bottles and broken bottles and cavity searches and punches and being thrown onto a game table. Oh yeah, I gotta find. I wonder if at one point she makes some coffee. She makes some coffee. After all, I don't know if it's after this bottle rape thing or after this other thing where he threw her against onto a game table. But at one point she gets up and she goes into the kitchen and makes him coffee. She actually okay, so, you're all banged up like that and you're actually going to get up and make somebody come on. Who is buying this? Mr. Rottenborn? I sometimes call him Born Rotten. Um, I can never get her name right. Bredahoff? She's a nut. Miss Amica Cream. Amica Cream. It's Arnica Cream. It's the bruise concealer and it didn't even come out until 2017. So that is like, that's just funny that it's even been, allowed to progress this long. The judge must be like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, I'm sorry. I mean, if that jury rules in her favor after all this, I will be very, very, very pissed off. Very pissed off. I mean, we need to be aware that it's not over yet. It looks honestly pretty bad for her, but it's not over until the fat lady sings, wherever she is. So let's just find this. I'm curious if I can find the coffee. That's just crazy, she's going to make him coffee. But the bottom line is, I mean, she's saying things that let me stop this a minute. She's saying things that people have actually gone through. She's saying stuff like similar to what I've gone through. Bits and pieces of it. What other people I've talked to have gone through. Things I've read about. And I don't know if I heard this online, like somebody made a video, but I heard something where she took several different real domestic violence abuse cases and spliced them together. And I'm just trying to get an understanding of the level of psychopathy that somebody has to have in order to create this character that she worked on. She must have rehearsed this sobbing scene multiple times every night, probably with her girlfriends around her or friends or whatever, and just watch and say, yeah, Amber, that was the best. Yeah, do that. I mean, seriously, I've known some pretty creepy human beings that identify as female, but I mean, very abusive females in my life. But this, someone to do something like this, create this fucking mockery of legitimate abuse that people suffer is gross, is disgusting. All I want is for the truth to continue to be told. Johnny's testimony, just, everything he said, he didn't act. He's not acting. He's being himself. He didn't fake cry or anything like that. You didn't see him with no tears, He's up there telling the truth. But he's telling it, he's speaking about things that, I heard audio tapes I had never heard before. A lot of the stuff, that thing where she was saying, I mean, she was freaking out every time he tried to leave. He was saying to her, I'll be back in a couple of hours. And she's like, stop, 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 please come here. And she's going, she's freaking out because he's leaving. He's not hitting her, he's leaving. I mean, she's freaking out. You're stressing me out so much. So many audio tapes have her freaking out because he's leaving. Why would an abuse victim freak out if their abuser is going to leave? They'd be relieved. Stop it. It just isn't there. Let me do this. Let me call up some of Johnny's testimony and we'll see some differences. Oh, wait a minute. Where did it go?
Your Honor, this is a recording. We plan to
Mr.
play
It's very entertaining, I have to say.
6 minutes and 55 seconds through 7 minutes and 29 seconds.
Is this a recording we already have? No, this is a
don't-
new recording.
I don't believe so, but I'm not 100% sure if this has
I
been.
love it when they object and they have to
8:39.
go to the bench and argue.
The defendant's 839.
Is there any objection to that audio recording?
I don't believe, assuming this is an audio recording between Mr. Depp and Ms. Hurt, then we have no objection.
All right.
is.
Yeah, Johnny, I mean, he's just being
Thank
like,
you.
okay, whatever, let's just do this.
So
I'm not
no
gonna.
objection to it being internet
put on-
evidence, correct?
That's
And
correct.
it's full content, but we're just playing a portion of it, is that
That's
correct?
exactly
Okay.
right.
All right,
Yep.
839 in evidence then.
Bullshit.
Thank you.
And permission to play the clip mentioned to the jury.
Okay, I assume there's no objection since it's in. That's fine, go ahead.
By pounding on the door and waking up every 15 minutes and then falling asleep next to the door so I could hear you snore. In case if you vomited, I could call EMS if you ever stopped snoring.
Because you were afraid I was going to die.
I thought you would choke on your own vomit, which is very likely with you.
Really?
Yes, very
But I
likely.
vomit a lot.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, you do vomit a lot. Do you
Sure.
sleep? Even more.
Good.
Oh, it's news to you? Then this is affecting you a lot more than I thought it was.
That'll be easy.
Johnny's like, okay, what's your point? I love this man.
Can you please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 1094?
Okay.
Your Honor, may we approach briefly?
Please approach. Please approach. What are they going to show? That's right. They had an audio clip of him vomiting. What the fuck? I mean, how many times can they turn this man inside out and just spill his guts for the whole world to see? This poor man. He has such, God, he has such strength. Look at him. He's just like, fine, you know what? Let's play ball.
Mr. Depp, do you recognize this picture as being a picture of you?
Yes, Miss Hurd kindly showed it to me the day after she took it, yes.
This picture, I'd move for the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 1094 and ask for permission to publish, Your Honor.
We have no objection, Your Honor.
This is a picture of you on a black leather couch, passed out, correct?
Passed out's an interesting way of putting it. Maybe asleep.
Where is it? What residence?
That's in Boston.
I'm sorry?
That was in Boston when I was doing Black Mass.
In Boston. And that's ice cream on your lap, correct?
It is indeed. Miss Hurd asked me to hold the ice cream as she noticed that I was on the nod. That means falling asleep from the 17-hour day that I'd worked and also the opiates that I'd ingested. And if you'll notice, my right hand is in my pocket. So I wasn't participating in the festival of ice cream.
Okay.
I was holding her ice cream, and because she knew what was going to happen, that I would fall asleep and it would drop. And that was a wonderful picture to take for her.
Sure.
I don't know why she took it. But
Well, so
No,
it's Miss
wonderful
Hurd's fault
composition.
that picture was taken.
Yeah, it's
So
her
is that what
fault.
you're saying?
she snapped it.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about this because you say you were in Boston. This is when you were filming Black Mass,
Yes, sir.
and you testified that was kind of the last film that you did
Like, no.
when you were taking opiates, right?
Yes, it was right before the the trip to the island.
And you testified yesterday that opiates, you don't take opiates to get high, right? You've testified to that on a couple different occasions, correct?
You certainly can take opiates to get high. If I doubled the dose, then I would most assuredly be ready for sleep. That's not a blackout. That's
Sure. So if you
He knows the
if you
difference.
double the dose, you'd be ready for sleep, but it wouldn't get you high in the way that other drugs would, correct?
well. The high is it's a extreme downer. That's its job.
Right. And for that reason, I believe you testified yesterday or 2 days ago. It's not like you take those pills to get high. You remember giving that testimony, correct?
I said that it's not like I took the pills to get high. I took the pills to
Thank
be
you.
normal, to stay normal so
Okay,
that I
let's pull
wouldn't
up
get sick.
866, please.
What number did you say? I'm sorry.
Defendant's Exhibit 866.
What's your point, Mr. Rottenborn?
But I also believe that I said that I asked nurse, or I told nurse Debbie that I had told her that I needed more than I actually took because I always wanted to have one or two in my pocket just in case the kick started.
Um,
You know what gets me about this damn thing? I was watching the replay yesterday, and I got to the part. I'm not going to try to search around for it right now because it'll take forever. But she drank at least 2 bottles of wine every night. 2 bottles of wine every night. That was a regular thing for her. I forget the name of the wine. It's some Spanish wine. I forget it. I forget the name. But he would get it for her, or she and her friends would. No, I don't know if he'd get it or like, she would get it, but she would always have it. 2 bottles a night. And then she's whining and crying and sobbing about him doing drugs and drinking, and she'd be telling him to get sober. I mean, the whole thing, they'd be having so many arguments about his drinking. Like, 'cause he was sneaking it. He was hiding it from his kids. He was hiding it from people and drink. And then, he would have 18 months of sobriety and he'd fall off the wagon and then she'd scream and carry on. And meanwhile, she's glugging like 2 bottles of wine a night. And he said it in his testimony. He's like, well, what about you? Why don't you get sober to support me? And she's like, no, I don't have a problem. You know, I'm just going to drink my 2 bottles of wine and just sit here and gaslight you and call you an alcoholic and tell the whole world that you're a drunk and a lush and all over the place, inebriated and falling asleep and passing out in front of your kids, passing out face down on the beach, and your poor son finds you. I mean, forget it. She drinks 2 bottles of wine a night. That's more than I drank back in 2005, and I drank quite a lot. In fact, when my dad died, I don't think I drank as much ever as when my dad died. I don't remember. I might have been putting away like maybe 1 bottle of whiskey, rum, or whatever it was, and then maybe a half a bottle of wine, and maybe some liqueur or something else. But I was glugging it, you know, and then, but 2 bottles of wine. I mean, I could go through 1 bottle of wine, one like big bottle like this. At my worst, I could go through one of those. Some weird thing happened. I mean, not that this has anything to do with anything, but a weird thing happened to me in 2018 after my dad died. It was like, August. I was very overweight and I needed some help for, some back pain I was having. So I went to a chiropractor and I started seeing him like 3 times a week and getting adjusted 3 times a week. And after about 2 months, suddenly I didn't want alcohol anymore. I liked it, but it wasn't a craving anymore. It wasn't like I need it. It wasn't like every day I had to have it, you know? To this day, it's like, I can go for months. It's bizarre. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying chiropractics can cure alcoholism. I'm saying that maybe I was never an alcoholic. Maybe it was, more of a psychological addiction, more of like or maybe my body was out of alignment. So, it needed anything to kind of put it in, you know, set it straight. But then, when I started getting adjusted to this day, what I do now is, medical marijuana, that stuff is the jam. That stuff has me, that's fine, it's medicinal. I'm not inebriated to the point where I can't function. It just helps me, get out of my traumas, whatever, I got PTSD and I take it for that. I'm on the medical plan, they prescribe it for that. So, it literally takes me out of marijuana, you know, when I get the effects, it's like I'm outside of the mess watching it from looking in, you know, and I'm literally able to fix problems that I, you know, couldn't fix. I mean, look, you know, I'm not saying it's a miracle cure, but it definitely helped me save my house from foreclosure. It helped me get, you know, I mean, they were threatening to, you know, sheriff sales and everything like that. I got on the phone with the, you know, the revenue bureau, and I talked to a very nice lady who set us up with a really good, you know, low income agreement per month, you know, certain amount per month. Got all the bills situated in low income payments, you know. Everything's fine. I don't even have to borrow money from my mom anymore. I mean, I do for big expenses, but I used to have to borrow at least 500 a month from her. I was a mess, you know? But I don't know where we got off on that. But anyway, it's I guess I'm leading up to something, you know, addiction and the way people talk about, you know, people who drink or do drugs or whatever like that. There's such a tendency because you see somebody drunk or you see somebody photographed drunk or like, you know, like when Johnny, you know, gave that award to Shep Gordon, everybody talked about, oh, he's a drunk. He's, you know, I mean, he probably had a really bad day, probably had a bad fight with her, probably got beaten up by her, you know, and needed a little something to kind of relax, you know. But, you know, then it's like you hear these stories by her and her, you know, her testimony about him being this horrible drunk, this monster, you know? Monster. That's the word. That's the buzzword that's been floating, you know, monster, you know? But as far as I'm concerned, we saw the monster in her testimony when you looked at her up close and personal with no freaking tears, fucking, you know, talking about pubic bones and cavity searches and bottles and whether it's broken or not. And if it was broken, she'd be bleeding and she'd be in the hospital. She would not stand up and go and make him coffee. Jesus Christ. Mr. Nickel, do you feel stupid yet? Oh, anyway, enough of this. You guys are amazing. You know, I see you on Twitter all the time. You know, I come there now again. You know, we're all Elon Musk is buying Twitter, but fuck it, I'm still gonna be talking all the shit I want to talk about the truth. You know, and if he wants to ban me, fuck it, I'll go to Instagram. You know, probably everybody's having a party on Instagram these days. You know, because Johnny's there. Anyway, I hope you guys are hanging in. You know, we'll get through this. You know, we don't have much longer. It's interesting that they're trying to get the trial done on May 27th. I think that's kind of cool, you know, and I hope it actually gets done. And I hope it's what we need it to be, you know, on Lily Rose's birthday. That would be the most amazing, amazing thing I can, you know, I can imagine, you know, I think that would probably be such a relief for her. I can imagine, you know. So, yeah, and of course, May 27th, 2016, her birthday was the day this whole mess started. You know, thank you, Amber, you know. Anyway, love you guys. I'll be back. Take care. I have to figure out how to stop this recording now.